Okay, so quick disclaimer for this video and the next video you're about to watch on how fighting traits get passed down. This is the first pass, and I'm going to make things very, very simple and top level for this first cycle. And then as we learn more, as I understand more, as I'm better able, or we really are able to better articulate how everything works, I'll be making updates and remixes of this specific video and any other video needed in the summoning playlist over time. But for now, I just want to give you the simplest explanation of how this stuff works, so that if you want to summon in the cycle, you have a general idea of how to do it and form some sort of basic strategy, which you'll develop over time as we all learn more about how this all works. So with that said, cosmetic traits are easier to understand and also more visible in terms of the results from summoning. So we're going to use that to analyze how the logic for summoning works first before we get into fighting traits. As we went over in this part, each trait is determined individually. The first step is to determine if the trait is being inherited versus randomly determined. So either random or genetic. It depends. Different cosmetic traits have different levels of randomness. So as we go here, there's a high random percentage for breed, very high random percentage for armor, low random percentage for hair, style and color, and low random percentage for war paint. So based on what we just saw and those likelihoods of randomness, every time you summon a champion, for each trait, it'll be decided whether or not it's random or genetic. If it goes random, it'll be some sort of draw from the available possibilities, maybe similar to a table like this. We don't know for sure yet. But if it decides to go genetic, then it'll be based on the values of these four things we're going to cover. So let's pick one of the four cosmetic traits, breed, and just kind of think about how this would play out. So we have a blood taker and a blood giver, and the blood taker is an elf, the blood giver is a dwarf. The blood taker has a 100 trait strength, 50 genetic strength, 250 trait strength for the blood giver, and a 150 genetic strength for the blood giver. If it goes genetic, all four of these values are added up. So 100, 50, 250, and 150. And the percentage likelihood that any of these four actions will occur will be tied to their percentage of the entire sum. So because there is a total of 550 points adding these four values together, and since 100 is 18% of 550, that means that there is an 18% chance that we will take the trait elf from the blood taker. There's a 9% chance that we take a trait from someone in the blood taker's bloodline. If this blood taker is a pure blood, then that means there's an 18 plus 9%, 27% chance that we get an elf cosmetic trait. As the elf, as a pure blood, has no parents or ancestry to give you any other trait other than elf. There would be a 46% chance of taking dwarf from the blood giver, because that's the trait strength and that comes directly from the parent, or a 27% chance of taking in the dwarf breed directly from someone in the blood giver's ancestry, parent, grandparent, great-grandparent. If this blood giver is also a pure blood, then that means that there's a 73% chance that we get a breed that's dwarf, because the blood giver has no parents and a bloodline of ancestors to pull from. Three more important things to note. The genetic traits, trait strength, and genetic strength are inherited together with no adjustments from the blood giver of the summoned champion. So the genetic traits can be traced directly back to the original pure blood giver. What does this mean? This means that if in this example, if champion A, the elf, is a pure blood, and champion B, the blood giver, is a pure blood, whoever is the blood giver will always pass on this same value to all its descendants. So this half-blood that's created here, no matter if it gets elf or dwarf, will always have a trait strength of 250 and a genetic strength of 150. And if that champion that's summoned now is the blood giver in the next summoning cycle, whatever champion is produced from that summons in the second cycle, no matter who the blood taker is, that champion will inherit the same 250 trait strength and 150 genetic strength. It'll always be connected and will be able to be connected back to the blood strength trait strength, and genetic strength of the original blood-giving pure blood champion. What this means is that switched on players can use the summonings of all the blood givers in their lineage to figure out their own genetic traits and use this to best impact future summoning. Also, when it comes to cosmetics, we want to talk about mutations. So there are 3 different types of mutations essentially. You have twins. There's a minute chance that when summoning, a pair of twins are produced. Each twin will have its own fighting traits. They will, however, have identical cosmetic and genetic traits. The Blood Taker Battlemaster will keep both twins. So every time you do a summon, there's a small, teeny tiny chance that you have the opportunity to get twins. And if you're the person buying blood, then you get to keep it. And of course, if it happens in your own private summoning, you get to keep the twins as well. What? In addition to that, we have clones. If you summon a champion that has all the same cosmetic traits as either the Blood Taker or the Blood Giver, then they are known as a clone. So basically, if all 4 cosmetic traits of the parent is the same as all 4 cosmetic traits of the child, well then now you have yourself what's called a clone. And if you have a clone, and the Blood Taker and the Blood Giver have one or more identical trait, then that clone will have polished armor. And if the Blood Taker and the Blood Giver have no identical cosmetic traits, then the clone is rewarded with an ultra rare Nacreous trait. These are very rare cosmetic traits and should be highly prized by Battlemasters. They are not able to be inherited. A Blood Taker or Blood Giver with a special background has the same amount of chance to produce a clone as any other champion with polished or Nacreous background. And then even further, it's mathematically possible, although maybe very unlikely, but we may see a day where we're able to produce identical clone twins. So basically, you mint, surprised to find out you have twins, and both of those twins look the same. And if that ever happens, the Blood Queen is promised a substantial reward if ever a set of twins is born with all the same cosmetic traits as one of their parents. Open up that pocketbook, Matan. Lastly, we have naming a summon champion. You can see exactly how to do that in the How to Summon a Champion video linked below. It's all really straightforward, but I just wanted to let you know, just part of like the cosmetic part and the IP and all that stuff, that at the end of each of your summons, you will be able to name your own champion, and it's not random. So think about creative, cool names that you might want to use for your champion for future lore or whatever you want. Just make sure no inappropriate stuff. If you do so, the team will change it, and there may be punitive repercussions like being banned from future tournaments, so on and so forth. So just keep it all above board. All right, so now let's check out how this logic that we're using for the cosmetic traits is applied directly to fighting traits with one small addition. Here's the video on fighting traits.